What's up, and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we are bringing it back to our Toy Story marathon with Toy Story 4, which came out earlier this year, but I'm only getting around to it now as it was released to digital today. So Toy Story 4 centers around Woody taking on sort of a protective role when Bonnie creates a toy from scratch with a spork and googly eyes named Forky. But when Forky goes missing, Woody, being the protective figure he is, puts it on himself to find the new toy and return it to Bonnie for whatever reason she loves it. So Forky was born through the child's imagination using scraps found just lying around. Because he isn't a conventional toy, Forky is born with the idea in the back of his mind that he's garbage. This sense of self idea or lack thereof is revisited often in Toy Story 4 as the central theme of feeling lost. A good number of characters in this movie, including Woody, question what it being lost even means and how to find yourself again, which kind of makes this film coming of age at the end of the day. Not only that, but the theme is also pretty relevant to a modern audience of kids who may feel very similar in their own lives, which can be very scary to kids. Heck, it can be pretty scary to adults too. So a lack of sense of self is a very adult issue that both kids and adults can relate to. So pretty much everyone can find something to connect with while watching this movie. Also, in my previous reviews for this franchise, I had mentioned how great Toy Story 3 looked. It improved in graphics and details, but that's really nothing compared to Toy Story 4. And Toy Story 4 looks incredibly real, especially with that first scene in the movie. I won't tell you too much about it, but it utilizes nighttime and heavy rain, all lit with what appears to be moonlighting and crashes of lightning. It's a spectacle, it really is. It made me think the film could have partially been stop motion since it looked so real. You could only really tell it was fake when you saw the humans, because the detail and everything else was just insane. If there's only one reason to watch this movie, watch it for the visuals, because wow. I would actually say this is the most original Toy Story film, apart from the first one. Original in its story, original in its characters, in its themes and direction. I was continually impressed with what they did with this movie in not making it one big rehash of the first three films. It may not have been the most necessary movie, but they were still able to utilize a lot of modern technology and relevancy to make your experience with the film unforgettable. That being said, I think it's really important to talk about some of the negatives in this movie. There was only one negative that I spotted, and it was glaring. Buzz freaking Lightyear. How do I put this? It felt like everyone just took a giant dump on his character. His sole purpose in this movie is comedic relief. He has one running gag in the entire movie from beginning to end that they go back to over and over and over again. And I don't necessarily have a problem with running gags. I don't, if they're done right and if they make sense with the character. What they did with Buzz Lightyear in this movie was entirely out of character. In the first movie, Buzz was a little dumb, but he didn't really know any better, so it worked. In the second movie, he got to see just how dumb he was when he met a factory setting version of himself at Al's Toy Barn. In Toy Story 3, he was kind of forced back into that factory setting, and he had this Spanish language setting thing going on, and it was pretty funny, but it wasn't his entire character, it wasn't the whole movie. It was a short gag that lasted maybe 5 minutes of screen time. Even then, it also made sense with his character. This gag was the entire script. It didn't match his character. Suddenly, this strong character, who has been known to be a friend and a leader, always there when you need him because you got a friend in him, he suddenly couldn't think for himself. He acts like a huge doofus, and he depended on the buttons on his chest to make decisions for him, as if he thought, say, a magic 8-ball was the real thing. I wouldn't have necessarily been surprised if he tried to fly, because he just seemed to be back to that factory setting again. One person said it better than me. He wasn't Buzz Lightyear. He was Mrs. Nesbit.
Snap out of it, Buzz!
To be completely honest, that's really the only negative I can really think of. Some people might connect the character Forky to the likes of Jar Jar Binks, but I never really saw it that way. His character was interesting. He was essentially just an over-the-top conduit for the message to advance, but it worked. Also, the whole Bo Peep character thing was pretty awesome in this movie. Sometimes I think they sidelined Buzz specifically to put more oomph on her character, which is fine. But when it comes down to Buzz, the entire series thus far has also acted as a character development tool for Buzz's maturity, and it just didn't work like that in Toy Story 4. So I gave this movie 82%, 82 out of 100 possible stars. As a whole, the movie is good. Even when certain areas hurt the film, it's hard to ignore where this film does go right, like in its originality, in its incredible visuals, and its relevant message. If you're a fan of the franchise, it goes without saying, you should watch this as well. If you're wondering where I rank this in my Toy Story marathon, in second place, right above Toy Story 2, and right below the two movies that are tied in first place, which are Toy Story 1 and 3. As a whole, when averaged together, I gave this franchise an 88%. Guys, tell me what you thought of Toy Story 4 in the comments down below. And as for YouTube, you know what to do. Make sure that you hit subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. But until then, peace out.